Hello, my name is Alicia Cornell, and thank you for viewing the very first episode in the Success Story series. I created the Success Story series as just a mini series. We'll have 10 episodes that really just talk to you and introduce you to the idea of being successful. On this first episode, which will be brief, of course, we only have 15 minutes, but on this brief episode, I will introduce to you the concept of success. The only thing that you have to do during this series is be open-minded. Open-minded to changing your definition of success. Relearning what success means to you, how you defined it in your past, and what it means for your future. I know that many of you are watching saying, how can this person possibly teach me about success? How successful is she? I just want to know how she became successful so I can do the exact same thing that she did to become successful for myself. But what I'm going to tell you is that is highly impossible. And here's the reason why. I am successful because that is my definition of success. It is Alicia's success. What you have to do is be able to understand that we are not the same. Neither is your brother or sister who's achieved success, or your parents that may have achieved success, your co-worker or the CEO of your business that you work for. Your level, your concept, your metric for success depends on you. That's the first concept. Redefining success. A little bit about myself. I spent a lot of time worrying about not being all of the things I didn't want to be. Most people do that. So I didn't want to be a liar. I didn't want to be a cheater. I didn't want to be a judge. I didn't want to be a bad mom. I didn't want to be a bad girlfriend. I didn't want to be a bad nurse. I'm a nurse by trade. I am a doctorate prepared nurse. I'm a clinical consultant. And there's a list that goes on and on and on behind that. But in brief, that's what I do for a living. I didn't want to be a bad leader. I didn't want to be a bad healthcare provider overall. I didn't want to be a bad reader. I didn't want to be a bad speller. I didn't want to be bad. My success originally was designed to define this concept that said, I don't want to be bad. I spent years not wanting to be bad, developing strategic plans for myself to complete certain tasks, certain goals, so that I wouldn't be bad. I went to school so that I could not be a bad person, for a bad, uneducated person. I learned how to articulate my speech so that I wouldn't be a bad speaker. I learned how to do everything so that I wouldn't be bad. And the bad part about learning how to not be bad is that you never, ever, ever learn how to be good. And you never, ever equate that in all of that learning and in all of that training to not be bad, that what you got out of it was good, was positivity, was success. So when I encourage you to define your own concept of success internally, this is what I'm speaking of first. You have to be able to think about all of your journeys that you've had in this life and really consider what those obstacles are, how you overcame that. I used to be a person that would think, every time that I'm doing well in this life, every time that I am achieving some type of success, and remember, at the same time, I'm defining success as having a high salary, having a good job, having friends in prominent places, being well connected, being a part of a different community, a different group of people with higher expectations and higher values. And every single time that I got to a point in my life where I felt like, here goes another roadblock. Here is another stumbling block that just keeps shutting the door to where I'm trying to go. Every time I turn around, my path is this way, and then it goes that way. And then it goes this way. And then it goes back this way for a while, and then it goes back that way. What I didn't realize is that every way that my life went, I was actually preparing and training myself for the next chapter, for the next journey. And with that, I mean that nothing in this world is given to us without effort and without hard work. I wanted to be so successful at not being bad. I didn't realize how good I was at many things that came my way. For all of the obstacles that kept appearing to me, and I mean like things that kept appearing to me was, of course, paying bills. It's just that the bills got bigger and bigger, which forced me to have to think bigger and bigger of a way out of paying all those bills and all that debt, not occurring, not doing it again, not having a reoccurrence of the same old thing that happened again. And how can I just navigate my way? Because a part of that also is stress and anxiety. And what I learned how to do with each of those roadblocks is slow down. I have a theory called S.P.A.C.E. Okay, so S.P.A.C.E, S-P-A.C.E, slowing down, pacing myself so that I can be at peace to think, acting on what I can act on right now, and being okay with that, keeping calm and calming myself through whatever method, taking a walk, watching a good movie, talking to old friends, keeping calm in that moment. And then E, being able to develop an execution plan because I've had the time, I've had the space, I've had opportunity to think about what am I doing. I know that there's probably a risk involved in something that I'm going to do. And really, how can that really happen? I'll give you an example. In my quest to be educated, to not be educated, I went to school several times. Okay, at the end of the final, and I was really good at school. I've always been really good at school. School comes so easy for me. That's not an obstacle for me. The obstacle for me was after I had gotten every single degree in nursing that I could possibly get, was how do I turn that into something else? Okay, I'm here, now I've got all the books, I've got all the years of experience. How do I turn that into something else? What happens next? How do I do that? That was my roadblock. My roadblock was, okay, I went out, I got a better paying job. That was number one. That's great, you got a better paying job. Then guess what? You can't just up and quit and leave here. Because now you're working on things and projects and opportunities that are long lasting. And now, guess what's happened now? Okay. I've got to learn. I've learned business in the healthcare world. I've got to take all of the business that I learned in healthcare, including my nursing education, including my healthcare informatics education, and go learn this new business of selling all of these things, of marketing all of these things, and how all of that works so that I can take all of that information, that new knowledge, put it back in my brain, think about all of the things that I've learned over almost 16 years of being a nurse, sit down with my project and learn how to turn that into something successful. That is what's going to beat you down, okay? That obstacle within itself, it's a mountain, okay? Think of it as a mountain. That mountain in itself, has so many detours, climbing up, climbing down, figuring out how am I possibly going to develop this, having to come up with, and you don't even know you're doing this, coming up with a strategic plan, okay? How am I possibly going to do this? That's how you do it. Always approach everything in your life with a strategy. Space is my first strategy for everything that happens. I give myself an opportunity to think about it, to pause, to think about my actions, to understand all of the risks that are involved, and to really come up with an execution style that's going to do it. And listen, this space, it is what it is. Space is not going to be overnight. Space is not going to happen next year. You might be working on your space for the next 3 to 5 years. But every single time the roadblock comes in, you have got to be able to identify the opportunity that is presented before you, create space again, a mini space, small space, create that space again, execute that one small task that you have to execute so then you can move on because the next roadblock is coming. Take all the things that you learned about the space the last time. Don't put it on a shelf. Put it in a box on the wall so that you can see what the last time you did when you had to go over this. It's not a mountain because you're already on the mountain. It's a roadblock. Okay, it's a roadblock on the mountain. You're on the mountain to success. You're there. You've managed to get there. Okay. The next steps are, how do I overcome all these roadblocks? So it's just like driving up a mountain where, I can't drive in this one gear. I got to drive in this next gear. I better not bring this Toyota Corolla. Probably should rent a 4-wheel vehicle because I'm going to have to go up this terrain. I'm going to have to go up this altitude and I got to be ready. Okay. I got to have me a good vehicle. I got to have me a good car. That's what I need. I don't need to get into we're not going to space in a Corolla. We're going to space in a rocket. All right. That's where we're going. And that's what you need to keep your mind in tune to, is that as you are going through these life roadblocks, baby, you're heading up your mountain. And always remember that for yourself. And after you create your space, you get over your roadblock on your mountain. You always, when you ever driven up a mountain, you always look over and you're like, look at how beautiful it is to sit here and go up this mountain and to look at nature and to, and just thinking about, being at peace. That's what you have to do. That's called a celebration. You have to celebrate your success just like that. You have to make sure that you are in tune to, after you get over your roadblock, creating physical space, so that you can digest everything that has happened to you, so that you can be ready, you're energized, you recharge, you're eating healthy, you're doing all of those things. It's not about how you look, it's about the inside. You're doing all of those things because you know the next roadblock is going to come. That moment that you're quiet and everything is going well, those are not moments where you should, yay, it's all going fine. Those are moments for you to recharge, because the next obstacle is going to come your way and it's going to be so huge and so grand. And listen, you're going to want to love it. You're going to love every roadblock. If you don't love every roadblock, then you are going to be stuck. Trust me, honey. Ask me how I know in the comments, okay? But if you can manage to get through that roadblock and, not fake positivity, but you're like, what are my lessons learned? Because I know what my goal is to get over this mountain. I'm trying to tell you, you are going to be more thrilled and happy at the new definition of success that we're going to create together, me and you. 10 episodes. This is the first. What are we going to do for this second? I know your mind is blown. Take some time, digest, meditate on what I said. I'll see you next Saturday. Have a good one.